Ecology has initiated more than 200 projects globally and helped preserve almost 1 million acres of marine habitat and 1 million acres of terrestrial habitat. Each year, Ecology gives out a prize to an indigenous islander for exceptional achievement in preserving the environment and culture of his or her home island. The winner of this year's environmental award is Professor Ali Shahabu Shakue, and he is from Kenya. Professor Shakue has been an activist and leader in mobilizing local communities to protect marine habitats in his country as Kenya. His efforts have led to local mobilization and legislation to support community-based natural resource management. He has also established 6 community-managed marine protected areas, a first in Kenya and within the East African region. This has meant protection for coral reefs, various fish species, and mangrove areas. He works directly with the Ecology-funded Project Kuweni Project Implementation Committee and edits and publishes a quarterly newsletter in Swahili that encourages the use of traditional fishing practice. He joins us here on Africa Today, and we were joined with a translator. Translator's name?
Dishanan El-Morage.
Okay, Dishanan.
East Africa representative for Ecology Foundation.
East Africa representative for Ecology Foundation. How was the award program last night, Professor Shakue?
Professor, ile sherehe za kutunukia zawadi ilikuwa vipi?
Ni sherehe iliyofanikisha sana, na ni sherehe sikufikiria kama itaweza kujitokeza kwangu.
It was a ceremony that was quite successful, and he was quite surprised because he didn't expect that kind of a ceremony in his lifetime.
Why didn't you expect that type of ceremony? You've been doing good work.
Kwa nini hukutarajia sherehe kama hiyo na umekuwa ukifanya kazi nzuri?
Nilikuwa nikifanya kazi nzuri na tegemeo langu lilikuwa ni kufanikisha, lakini ilikuwa sikufikiri kama mimi mvuvi mdogo nitaweza kufika San Francisco kuja kutunikiwa zawadi kama hiyo kubwa na watu wakubwa.
Essentially he has been working to conserve the environment, but he did not expect that he'll one day travel to San Francisco and especially to come to be awarded a prize.
Okay. I was looking at the pictures of Lamu. It's beautiful.
Alikuwa anaangalia picha za Lamu na anaona ni nzuri sana.
Lamu ni sehemu moja mzuri sana na bado mazingira yake yako mazuri sana. Na sasa sisi tukimbia au nakimbia zaidi yasiharibike, yakaja akachafuka mazingira kuliko ni kama sehemu nyingine vile zilizoharibika.
Yeah, it's true that Lamu is a very beautiful place, and that's why he's so keen to ensure that that bit is conserved and preserved. And that's why he's trying so much to ensure that the communities are taking a keen part in ensuring that whatever is beautiful is preserved.
Mm-hmm. So you were born in Lamu. Were you born in Lamu?
Ulizaliwa Lamu?
Mimi nilizaliwa Malindi, lakini ni kutoka Lamu. Wazazi wangu ni kutoka Lamu, lakini walitoka kwa kazi wakaja Malindi, nikazaliwa Malindi, lakini nimerudi Lamu ndio nyumbani.
He was born in Lamu, although he was born in Malindi, although his parents are from Lamu. Essentially they migrated to Malindi because of work commitments, but essentially what has happened, he has moved back to Lamu to live and work there.
Okay. How far is Lamu from mainland Kenya? What's the distance between mainland Kenya and Lamu?
Lamu, umbali wa Lamu kutoka Mkoe ama kutoka pale ni kama kilomita ngapi au dakika ngapi kwenye boti?
Ni dakika 15 peke yake kwa zile boti za racing.
It's about 15 minutes ride with a speedboat.
15 minutes ride on a speedboat.
On a speedboat, yes.
Okay. When did you become, Professor Shakue, when did you become interested in, when did you notice that there were issues with the environment, the destruction of the environment, marine habitat, overfishing? Why did you get involved in this type of work?
Maswali mawili. Kwanza, ni lini uliona kwamba mazingira yanaharibika? Na pili, ni lini haswa uliamua kuchukua hatua ndio kujihusisha na kazi ya kuhifadhi au kazi ya kulinda mazingira?
Mimi asili yangu ni mvuvi, na nilivua kutokea mwaka 62, nilianza 62 kuvua. Ilikuwa vile samaki wako wengi, tulikuwa kiona ni sawa tu sisi kwetu, hakuna tatizo. Lakini baada wale wavuvi kuendelea kuongezeka, kaona sasa mambo yaanza kuharibika. 1995 ndio nikaanza kubadilika kwamba ikiwa itaendelea hivi mambo yatachafuka na kizazi kitakachokuja kitakosa kufanya kazi kupata samaki.
I've been a fisherman since 1962, and initially there was a lot of fish, and therefore there was no need to conserve anything. But with the time, the number of fishermen increased, and the amount of fish that we are getting reduced drastically. Then in 1995, the situation became desperate, and that's the time that I decided to become keen and see what action could be taken to conserve whatever fish was available.
Mm-hmm. What was the problem? Was it overfishing? Was it overfishing by people from the region and from the islands? Was it overfishing by outsiders? Was it fishing methods? Why were the fish being depleted?
Shida ilikuwa kwa wapi? Kwani kulikuwa na upungufu wa samaki? Ni kutokana na wenyeji wa pale au ni wageni wa kutoka nje?
Mara nyingi yule mwenye pale waharibu mwenyewe, ni wageni kutoka nje. Na pia vijana baada ya kumaliza shule hakuna kazi, mara nyingi hakuna kazi. Sasa walijishughulisha na wakajipeleka kwenye uvuvi, na vile ambavyo si kazi yao hawakujali kuvua chochote na kuharibu, bora wao kufikiria kupata tu.
Essentially it was people coming from the local people, and most of the young people didn't have employment, or there were no employment opportunities, and most of them opted to become fishermen. But the problem was that they didn't know the traditions and the practices of the local fishermen, and therefore they chose to use even other methods of fishing that were not legal.
Okay. What other methods of fishing? Did dynamite fishing? No. Were people using explosive fishing or no?
Uvuvi haramu ni aina gani? Ni kutumia dynamite au ni kutumia nini?
Kwanza wavuvi walizidi kinyume na namba tunayotakana. Pili, wakitumia vifaa si bomu, wakitumia vifaa kwa mfano kama nyavu ndogo, kama bunduki, spear gun zile, na hawajali kuvua sehemu moja mpaka waimalize kabisa.
No, it wasn't dynamite fishing. First, there was an increase in number of fishermen.
Okay.
Secondly, fishermen started using small meshed nets.
Mm-hmm.
Also using of spear guns. And also, initially, fishermen would fish in different places, and allowing recovery on places that they had fished earlier. But now, they started concentrating their fishing in only one place, and they will not move out of that place until it was totally depleted.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the challenges to organizing the community? I mean, when you started this, clearly there were issues about overfishing, the environment. How did you go about organizing the community to come together to protest and be active around these issues?
Ni changamoto gani ambazo ulizipata katika kuwapa jamii hamasa na kuwawezesha wawe pamoja ndio muweze kuwa na kazi au kuweza kuwa na harakati za kuweza kuwaelimisha na kuweza kuwashughulisha katika kazi za kuhifadhi?
Nilipigwa vita sana, na wengi wakisema naenda kuwauza, kwa sababu nawapa utaratibu namna gani tutavua ili tusiharibu. Ilikuwa ni kazi kubwa sana na vita vikubwa, na kwamba mimi labda nimepewa pesa kwamba wao waache kuvua, wasivue tena zile sehemu ili nifaidike mimi na wao baki na njaa. Ilikuwa ni vita kubwa na ni kazi kubwa sana.
It wasn't smooth initially, and the communities really gave him a hard time. Most of them felt that he has been bought out, and he has been paid a lot of money so that he can try and chase them out from the fishing areas. So it was not very easy for him at all. And that was how it began. It wasn't smooth for him in the beginning.
Okay. A question for you: how does Seecology work with a group, a person like Mr. Professor Shukule? How does Seecology make the link? How do you work on the ground?
Okay, Seecology essentially is an international organization, and what it does, how it works, it identifies key people within regions that it works with. We are referred to as field representatives. I represent the East Africa region. So the key people selected to work within this area, they should people who understand the situation on the ground and can identify communities that are keen about conservation. So Seecology, what we have been working is we identify these kind of communities that are keen to conserve. And what happens is that with each of the communities, there's always something small that really stops them from conserving. There's a particular need that they have that they could, if that need could be addressed, then they can move forward in terms of conservation. And in Kenya in particular, we have been working a lot with the beach management units, and these are legal entities. And the legal entities have powers to conserve and also introduce sustainable fisheries management measures. And most of them, they are not able to operate because either they don't have structures, central structures to operate, they may not even have the capacity to operate. And what Seecology has done is to work with these beach management units, which are essentially within the community, which are the local community units, and identify what is the need that they have that is curtailing them in terms of their effort to conserve. And then Seecology comes on board, supports that need, and then we leave to the community to drive the effort forward.
Okay. What other parts of the islands were being impacted? I know it was fishing, but it was also turtle habitat, it was coral. Talk about some of those areas, Professor Shukule.
Tueleze kidogo kuhusiana na hali ya mazingira ambapo uvuvi unafanyika. Tunafahamu kwamba hizi sehemu ni sehemu za mikoko, ni sehemu za mwani, ni sehemu za matumbawe. Tunataka kujua uhusiano kati ya uvuvi na hizi sehemu ni gani, uhusiano uliomo ni gani?
Ukweli samaki wana tabia ya kuzaa sehemu za matumbawe, na tabia ya kuzaa sehemu za mikoko. Na ni sehemu mzuri sana kwa samaki. Wavuvi wanapenda sana sehemu hizi kwa sababu wakifika pale wanapata samaki wengi. Ndio sasa kwaona ni kazi kubwa sana, ile nalikuwa ni vita vikubwa sana kuweza kuwaambia hii ni sehemu ya hifadhi, tuweze tukaiacha kwa muda fulani ili samaki waweze kuzaana na wengi. Ni sehemu ambazo zinapendeza kwa wavuvi. Ni sehemu ambazo wavuvi wakifika pale si rahisi kukosa samaki. Sasa ikawa ni challenge kubwa sana, ni mapambano makubwa ya kuweza kuwafahamisha na kuelimisha ili pale waache nafasi samaki wapate kuzaana, wakiwa wengi, wakitoka mvuvi ataweza kufaidika kwayo.
Yeah, the areas that they fish, most fishermen understand that the link that exists between fish that's available in the ocean and the corals and the mangrove, for example, is that most of the fish where the corals are and where the mangrove are the fish breeding sites. And also those are the sites where they have huge populations of fish. So for fishermen, they understand that those three ecosystems, the corals, the mangroves, and the seagrass and fish are closely linked because they are either the fish breeding sites, they are also the fish feeding sites. And that's why he had a big challenge, because when he tried to introduce issues of protecting these sites, it was difficult for the fishermen to accept initially, because to them, these places where they were supposed to stop fishing are essentially the same places where they are getting their fish. So they were not able to understand, why do we need to protect this area? Okay, even if we protect, these are the same places where we get our fish. Where are we going to get where are we going to earn our living?
How did you make the change? Why were fishermen able to, because now there are 6 protected areas, how was it possible to convince fishermen and others that this was in their best interest and the best interest of the people of that region?
Na uliwezaje kuwabadilisha fikra zao ndio wakaweza kukubali kuhifadhi? Tunafahamu kwamba sehemu za kuhifadhi ni 6 sasa, vipi mule mvuvi ambaye alikuwa na pingamizi kubwa akawa na mabadiliko ya fikra?
Wajua, kwanza nataka tufahamu hakuna binadamu mzuri na hakuna binadamu mbaya. Yule mzuri ndio yule mbaya na yule mbaya ndio yule mzuri. Na ukimweleza kitu kwa utaratibu, ukimrudia yeye mwenyewe ataweza kufikiria ni nini ninachoelezwa na nini nitaka nifikirie nifanye. Kwa sababu hii mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa ni mbaya, lakini baada ya kuona ule utaratibu nilibadilika na kuanza kueleza wenzangu kuwabadilisha ili tuweze kuwa na maisha mazuri mpaka kesho na vizazi vitakavyokuja visiweze kupata tabu. Na watu wakaona hilo. Wengi around 50% wameliona na sasa na wale waeleza wenzao ili kuweza kufikia pale tunapotarajia.
Yeah, he's saying that you need to understand that there's no human being who is always good or always bad. For example, he was one of the key persons who used to oppose marine parks, but he was able to change. So he says that one unique characteristic of a human being is that if you keep on telling him continuously about something, there will come a time he start questioning himself. What am I being told? And he take a keen interest to understand what he's being told and try to dig deeper to understand what it is. So that's exactly what he did. He kept on saying the same thing, telling them about the same thing over and over again, until some people started asking themselves, what are we being told? And try to dig deeper to understand what they were being told. So he said that when he was aiming in a big crowd, you may not be able to change a whole crowd. But if you can manage to change even up to 50%, then you're already on your way to success. And that's how he has been able to change the perception and the attitudes of fishermen in terms of conservation.
Congratulations on the award. It sounds like very, very difficult. Sounds like it requires a lot of Professor Shakue is a patient man.
Anasema kwamba congratulations, pongezi kwako kwa kupata kutunukiwa zawadi, na vile amefahamu kutokana na maelezo yake ni kwamba inachukua bidii kubwa sana kufanya hiyo kazi.
How difficult was it to work with? Because at times these are islands and they're for tourism and they're for a lot of things. How difficult was it? What was the process of working with the central government, who at times had similar interests, who at times probably had different interests, because this is all under the umbrella of Kenya?
Nataka kufahamu, tumeeleza kidogo juu ya kufanya kazi na jamii. Nataka kufahamu kidogo sasa kwa upande wa serikali, kulikuwa na urahisi gani wa kufanya na kazi na serikali? Tukifahamu ya kwamba maeneo au lengo lako ya kazi ambayo ulikuwa ukifanya ni malengo sawa tu na yale serikali. Yale maeneo ambayo ulikuwa unalenga pia ni yale maeneo yanalengwa na serikali. Na kama tunavyofahamu hapo kitambo, usimamizi ulikuwa ndani ya serikali. Ulipoleta utaratibu mpya wa usimamizi wa jamii, ulikuwa na urahisi kufanya kazi na serikali au kulikuwa na shida katika zile juhudi zako?
Kweli nilipigwa vita mara 3. Nilikuwa napigwa vita na wavuvi wenzangu kwanza, pigwa vita na serikali, nilipigwa vita na nyumbani kwangu, familia yangu. Kwa sababu wavuvi wakiniambia wewe unakwenda kutuuza, serikali ikiniambia wewe unawaamsha wavuvi, nyumbani kwangu naambiwa wafanya kazi bila malipo, tunashinda njaa. Mambo matatu haya yalinikabili vikali sana. Ilikuwa si kazi rahisi kwa zote namba 3 kuweza kuzifaulu, bali niliweza kusimama nikaona kama mimi nilivyobadilika na wenzangu watakuja kubadilika wafikie kama kiasi changu mimi. Sitojali tatizo la na wenzangu, sitojali vita vya serikali, hasa fisheries nilipiga vita sana kwanza. KWS nilipiga vita vikubwa sana, kwa sababu ilikuwa nategemea kwa nini ichukue nafasi za wavuvi ziweze kuchukua mapato na mvuvi hapati kitu. Sasa nikieleza wavuvi, KWS ilikuwa na vita vikubwa sana kwangu. Fisheries nilipokuwa nikieleza kwa vile mambo yako kwake, ilikuwa bado haijanielewa nataka nini. Ilikuwa kinipiga vita kabla haijanifahamu mimi niko wapi na niko vipi. Lakini baada ya kunielewa walinipa support kubwa sana fisheries.
Essentially, it was very difficult for him at the start, and the battle was three-way. First of all, he had a battle to fight with the government, they had a battle to fight with the community, and he also had a battle to fight with his family. The first battle with the community was that they felt that he was betraying them, he had been bought out. The community his family didn't understand why he was working for why he was advocating and doing all this and he was not being paid. Whereas the government was concerned that he was mobilizing communities to fight for their right. So this didn't the fact that he was having all this fight it didn't essentially make him lose hope. He just continued fighting for the way he was doing it. And one thing what he learned with the time was that, like with the KWS, the fight that he had with the KWS was the issues of sharing of benefits, and he knew that with time the communities will come to understand that the sharing of benefits will be beneficial to the communities, and the communities would become more keen to join him later on.
It's a very interesting story. How long were you doing this before? How many years were you doing this, Professor, before the community said, okay, we think it's a good thing?
Ilichukua muda wa miaka ngapi mpaka jamii ikakubali kwamba hii ni jambo nzuri la kufanya?
Karibia 12.
12 years.
You're a patient man. You're a patient man. And so in the relationship with Seecology actually provides, in this case, they're providing buoys, they're providing some buildings, they're providing boats and a number of other things in return or as part of this arrangement where the land is protected. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Fantastic. What happens? How do you sustain this in the long term? Meaning 20 years from now, 30 years from now, what type of educational process, information process goes to make this work?
I'll give an example like Kiweni.
Okay.
One of the projects that Seecology funded right from the start. When we started the project of Kiweni, because this was the first community protected, marine protected area under the new legislation that came in 2007 that supports community in terms of conservation. And now, Iweni was a unique site because this Iweni, it was a fished area, highly degraded, and it was one of the areas that was also highly targeted for ecotourism by most of the tourists operating from Lamu Island. It's a major tourist attraction site. So the community came to us and said, we need, first of all, three things. We need to demarcate the area.
Okay. We
need to raise awareness with the communities. And you need an office that provides presence, that we as a community, we have a beach management unit, and we are running this site. So Seecology looked at the proposal and agreed to fund the proposal in those three key areas. First of all, provision of demarcation, buoys. Secondly, we looked at the issues of education and awareness, particularly in regard to turtle conservation and issues of conserving corals. And the third one was also on office. So we constructed an office, provided power supply to the office, and also we did something extra because we also provided some initial equipment for patrols and enforcement. It was a community on their side. On the side of the community, they say they'll make the sacrifices that is needed to ensure the area is closed by providing patrols and that kind of thing. And secondly, they also indicated that to support some of our operations, we are going to allow non-extractive activities to take place, especially tourists to come and visit the site, and they'll pay a small fee, $5. So the small fee that the tourists pay to the BMU to visit the site is now the one that they use to run the conservation site. The good thing about it all is that the community was able to make a lot more money. So now, the extra that they make from this closed site, they have a program where they share out this money among the 4 BMUs that are engaged in conserving that site. The 4 communities, being Chipate, Shangarubu, Lamu, and Shela, use that money to support bursary schemes within the village, construction and supply of water to the mosque, paying of school teachers to the bus, to the walimu chekechea, nursery school teachers, because they're not funded or supported by the government. So the communities now, because they can see some direct benefit coming from the conservation of the site, now are able actually even to support the continued existence of that marine protected area.
How, I mean, I'm looking at your resume, Professor. You're with the Kiweni Project with Seacology, you're the North Coast Fishermen. You're the co-director for Conservation and Community Development. You also publish a book which covers traditional fishing. When do you have the time?
Anaangalia CV yako, anashangaa kwamba una vyeo vingi sana. Kwanza, we ni msimamizi wa Kiweni Project, msimamizi wa North Coast Fishermen, unahusika na shirika la Center for Conservation and Community Development, na pia unaandika magazine Mwambao. Anashangaa muda wa kufanya haya yote unatoka wapi?
Swala mzuri. Kabla sijapata ufadhili wowote, ilibidi nitengeneze grupu yangu inaitwa North Coast Fishermen Marine Conservation. Nilianza kutengeneza hii mwaka 2000 mwezi wa 9 tarehe 21. Nilianza kutengeneza North Coast Fishermen Marine Conservation. Nilikuwa mimi na wavuvi wenzangu kidogo kama 5 hivi. Nikienda mbele nikaona wengi siwafikii, ndio nikatoa fikra ya kutengeneza gazeti ili ile sauti yangu iwafikie mbali. Tukifika mbele nikapata utaratibu wa kuweza kuchaguliwa na wavuvi wote wa pwani ya Kenya, kwa mimi ndio nitakuwa mzungumzaji na kuzunguka katika zile taratibu zao. Tulipofikia hapo, ikawa sasa mimi nitachaguliwa kama mwenyekiti au msimamizi wa Kiweni baada ya kupata ufadhili kwa Seacology. Huku nilikuwa niandika gazeti, nilipata ufadhili kidogo kwa rafiki yangu mwingine. Kwanza nilianza kuandika kwa pesa yangu mwenyewe. Yule mfadhili alipokuja kuona zile taratibu zilivyo na mimi sina uwezo, akanipush kidogo. Nilipokuwa nimeendelea zaidi, WWF ilijaribu kunisukuma, lakini baada kuja Seacology niliacha zote, nikawa pamoja na Seacology kwa msimamo wa kuweza kuangazia jamii ili kuweza kuhifadhi sehemu nyeti za kuendeleza kizazi kitakachokuja.
Yeah, he's saying the process has been gradual, and in some cases it was not a matter of choice. He started with the North Coast Fishermen in 2000, in August 21st. Essentially, that organization came together to bring fishermen together, and they appointed him as the chairman. Then later on, he moved and he started associating before the Kiweni. He came from being the North Coast, he moved to become the chairman of the fishermen along the Kenyan coast. They appointed him to be the chairman. Then later on, when the Kiweni project started, the fishermen actually appointed him to become the chairman. And also, initially before Kiweni, WWF gave him some money to start initial publications of Mwambao. It was some small funding that ran for a time, and then it was exhausted. So when the Kiweni project came, and the fishermen only knew him as the person who could actually bring fishermen together, they chose him to become now the chairman again for the Kiweni project. So he does the job, and he's fine with it.
Okay. The website for Seacology, what's the website? www.seacology.org. Okay, and you're the field representative of Seacology, and you're based in Mombasa.